the same like Runyankore. Now you hear that. Abekweka mu by'eddiini okukola ensobi z'ekika eki, Katonda yatonda science. Bw'olaba enjuba ani yagitonda? Si Museveni yatonda enjuba. Science. Buno obuwuka bwa butonde. Katonda yabukiriza okubeerawo ndowooza. Because if God didn't want, the buwuka would not be there. The viruses, the bacteria are part of nature, and nature is God's creation. We are not the ones who created it. So, okusoma bw'owulira nti ensi ezingidde mu kitangaala, enlightenment, zeezo ensi ezayiga okumanya obutonde bulungi. So really education and science means understanding nature. Simanyi mu Quran, nkozesa omukutu guno ogwa TV njagala ba imam bafuna obudde bakolagana ne Dr. wali omunsi banyonyole ekigambo oba waliwo okulagirira okuli mu Quran okukwata ku kintu kino ekyokusiiga obulwadde. Kubanga mu Bayibuli nkimanyi bulungi abagenge bali bayitawo ne basemberera kumpi Yesu we yali. Kigamba mu Bayibuli nti bayimirira wala. In the Bible, bayimirira wala ne bawogaana nti Mukama waffe tutaase. The story of the lepers is there in the Bible. 2,000 years ago, those people knew how to control infection. That these lepers stood far and shouted because they knew that separation. What we are telling you, what we are doing now actually. I think that's how we had summarized it. This Tonsemberera, 2,000 years ago, in the time of Jesus. So we are now here, 2,000 years from the time of Jesus, which is written in the Bible, repeating the mistakes, doing what the people were not doing 2,000 years ago. I think I read somewhere in the Bible that they would even put bears on these lepers or something like that. Yeah. That they would put bears. But every day. That when you hear them coming, you go. Yeah. So now here in Kasanda district, oyo alina ebizibu okulonda. Engeri gye balonda abantu abatalina makulu be bali eyo, be balonda mu kalulu akayita. Ate abakulembeza abandi badde bayamba tekuli n'omu. balonda ndowooza abalabe abagala abantu baffe tebafaayo. In Mbende, the local leaders played a positive role. The chairman, So here in Kasanda, in one family, 11 people dead. Omlambo plus 10. The 10 were killed by the dead body, which was exhumed Mbubakolo Bulombolombo. However, the cases have now reduced during the second 21 days restriction to 1 to 2 cases per day. Progress in Kasanda has been slow because of lack of cooperation among some of the district's political leaders. Poor adherence to the standard operating procedures, myth and misconceptions, and visiting traditional healers. Abasawo b'ekinansi tebalina tebagenda kuwonya. Ate n'abo abagamba nti bagenda kusabira temuli kusaba okunawonya Ebola. The answer is to use the medicine which God created for us, because whatever problem there is God put an antidote to it. Omuliro guzikizibwa amazzi. Mwebyo ebibiri Museveni teyatondangawo kimu. Omuliro gwa Katonda, amazzi ga Katonda. So ogwange kwe kulaba okukozesa Katonda byateekawo okumalawo ebizibu ebijjawo. This is the role of the human beings. We just use what God created to solve problems. So, this Ebola, as I told you from the beginning, is actually much easier to deal with than either corona or AIDS. The main problem here is behavior change. You remember the other time we were talking about behavior change for AIDS. Here, actually the main solution is behavior change. People to listen. That's all. Because it doesn't spread through the air like AIDS, like corona, and does not infect. It's not like AIDS, which can hide for some months before it shows itself. Apparently this one, when you start getting symptoms, that's when it starts infecting. So it's very easy, really, if people had just stayed, it would have been over. In 3 weeks, it would have been over. But obutawuliriza. Kasanda district has got 4 major challenges. These are the passenger relay system by border borders, similar to what is happening in Mbende. ba bodaboda okujeema ne beetika abantu mu kifo ky'okwetika emigugu gyokka. Frequent visits traditional healers. Ogenda mu masabo. Myth, misconceptions and misinformation. Obutamanya n'obulimba. Escape of Ebola contacts using the trucks carrying timber logs, which also expose the driver and turnboy to infection. Additionally, these trucks spend nearly 1 week in Kasanda loading the logs. This is adequate time for the driver and turnboy to have contact with the communities and get infected. For example, a driver of a timber truck left Kasanda with the infection and was found in Usega, in Kampala City. To address these risks in Mbenda and Kasanda, I now direct as follows. Tulina kyakukola munange. Abanyankole bagamba nti enjoki yakuula omuliro. Bw'oba oyagala okujja omubisi gw'enjuki mu njuki olina okukozesa omuliro. Okubuulira obubuulirizi kikigenda okukkiriza enjuki okukolekera omubisi gw'enjuki. So it seems talking alone is not enough to convince some of the actors. Number one, Ministry of Health and local government leaders should intensify sensitization of the borders so that they understand the dangers of exporting Ebola through the refugee camp. I once again repeat that all traditional healers and witch doctors are prohibited from carrying out their activities during this Ebola outbreak. They should not receive clients. All the border must stop the practice of passenger relay system immediately. Should they continue, I will stop their movement with or without cargo. Ba boda bwe tebalekedde awo okwetika abantu ngenda okubaggalirawo ddala. Temuddamu kutambula oba mwetise mugugo oba nedda. Ngenda kukola ekyo bwe muba temulekedde awo. Number 4, all trucks carrying logs are prohibited from movement into and out of Mubende and Kasanda districts with immediate effect until the end of the 21 days. This issue of the logs is because people have developed commercial forests in that area, which is a good thing. I normally see them when I'm flying to Hoima, to Masindi. I normally see them. But now you can see an advantage. Some people are turning into disadvantage. Because if the operators of these log trucks were sensitizing their drivers not to mix, to simply camp, like we were doing when we had Corona for the Kenyan drivers and all that. We took some precautions and it worked, but these ones don't listen. So for now, Fortunately, it's not many days, 21 days. Don't move into or out of Mubende and Kasanda districts for carrying logs. The Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area, confirmed cases have been reported in the districts of Wakiso and Kampala City as a result of imported cases from the Kasanda and Mbende areas. Currently, the number of cases in Greater Kampala are as follows. Kawempe, 3. Makindye, 1. Rubaga, 14. And Wakiso, 2. The Greater Kampala region is a heavily populated area that presents challenges in contact tracing, follow-up, and home quarantine. And because of this, identified contacts must be put under government quarantine, institutional quarantine. However, I have been informed that some contacts escaped and found their way to Masaka and Jinja cities. Both of them have since died of Ebola. Katuurirawo. Bano bakimanya nti bali basemberedde omulwadde wa Ebola. Gavumenti ku ssente zaayo ono asemberedde omulwadde wa Ebola emutwala n'emuteeka mu kifo n'emulabirira ennaku 21 ku ssente zaayo. This is for Kampala because eri walala bano tubakuumira mu maka gaabwe tusigala waka, naye Kampala wano kulwa abantu abangi tubatwala mu bifo bya gavumenti. Kati abantu ababiri batoroka, kati abo bafudde kubanga okutoloka eri gy'odukira tekuli ekinakutaasa. Ab'Emwawule mbwakusabire, abe bishopu mbwakusabire, abe Mulogo mbwalogo obulwadde tekigenda kukutaasa. Where there is a chance that you may survive is to stay here in the government quarantine area, and when you start showing signs of being sick, they start treating you quickly. Because this Ebola attacks internal organs. Attacks internal organs. That's why people bleed. So the earlier you start, before the internal organs are damaged, the better. That is the whole idea about early treatment. So, Katubano abatoroka, this one who escaped from Kampala, they have both died. A pregnant woman linked to the initial Kasanda case that brought infection to Kampala was called by her mother to seek health care in Masaka. The mother then took her to Masaka Regional Referral Hospital, where the health workers suspected Ebola and isolated her. She tested positive and unfortunately passed on before delivery. So this one, if she had reported here in Kampala early, the chances of survival. 97 contacts linked to this pregnant woman have been listed and under follow-up. Furthermore, I'm informed that another contact linked to the Rubaga cluster traveled to Jinja City, where he visited 2 private clinics before he succumbed. Succumbed meaning he died. Huh? You know, I'm reading Dr. Jena Cheng's way of writing. So, ndimu tafuta. Tuanga bogera ururimi rwawe, urwafa bamwanenchi restategera. Succumbed means died. So, bumuna wurira ngamba succumbed, mutegere banange. Nto mururimi rwafe kufa. Because succumbed, it is as if he lay down and surrendered or what? So this person died. The brother subsequently died. So this one died and killed his brother. Ah, banange. Huh? Huh? Imagine, all these are necessary. Huh? The brother subsequently died and was confirmed for Ebola after death through samples removed by the health workers from a private clinic, St. Catherine Medical Center. We have since then confirmed Ebola in another relative, bringing the total number to 3 in this family. Oh, this one also died. Huh?
She's still alive in isolation.
Oh, this one is still alive in isolation. Now, 245 contacts. When you hear contacts, bananga timurowooza nti mikwano baki, because this is the language of Jane. Contacts means the ones who got near the sick person and are suspected could have been infected. So you can hear, these are 245 have been listed in Jinja City. 5 of these developed symptoms and have been evacuated to Entebbe National Isolation Facility. The above scenario shows that the population and health workers in Kampala and the entire country have not yet properly understood the dangers of Ebola and how it spreads. Ebola is easy to manage if all people cooperate and follow guidance of the health workers. Ebola is spread by contaminated clothing, beddings, surfaces ngawa nokumeza, and body fluids such as saliva, vomit, sweat, stool meaning feces, blood, when Corona was starting, His Grace the Archbishop of Canterbury came here. And some people said I should greet him, that I will get blessings when I shake the hand of the Archbishop. I said, no, the Archbishop can send to me the blessing through the air. It's possible to send to me the blessing through the air, because God has got all the power. I refused to shake the hands of the Archbishop. I refused. Of Canterbury. This is what Banyankore call obhabe, when people get lost. Obhabe, to be live and done what you ought to do, and do what you ought not to do, and there is no truth in you. Balekanga bye basande kukola ne bakola bye batasande kukola n'amazima tegali mu bo. Bayibuli bwetyo bwegamba. Shaking hands doesn't show that you love people. No. It's not necessary. Just like a jambo. Like a jambo. Kamara. Hello. Olugo okubida akajambo alaba nti omusanyukidde. Akiraba tiyetaaga kukwata essanyu nti akwata essanyu mu ngalo. So stop shaking hands, so that the washing we are talking of is washing because you touched surfaces and so on. Because also the surfaces, the virus can stay there. But forget about shaking hands. Therefore, if you have had contact or been in an area where there are cases of Ebola, and you are not sure whether you are a contact or not, do not run away. Stay in your home and call the health workers if you are sick. When you run away, you lose time, get more sick, and die. In addition, you spread the disease to your loved ones and other local governments, like we have seen with the case in Jinja City. This stretches the health system and is expensive to control. I've been informed that tourists have been cancelling their trips to Uganda, and some have even postponed their bookings in hotels and lodges due to the Ebola outbreak. Furthermore, international conferences and meetings have been postponed, and some have moved to other countries due to Ebola outbreak. This is most unfortunate and not necessary, because as you have seen, Ebola, if you follow the guidelines, it will not get you. I would like to reassure the international community, tourists and conference organizers, and the entire Ugandan population that the government has put in place measures to control the outbreak. And unfortunately, the disease itself is avoidable, because it only spreads by intimate contact. The Ebola outbreak is localized to only 6 out of 146 districts of Uganda. Uganda remains safe and we welcome international guests. Government is doing all it takes to control this epidemic and avoid exportation outside Uganda. In this regard, the list of Ebola contacts bali abasemberedde aba Ebola has been availed to the immigration authorities to prevent them from international travel. Boba osemberedde owa Ebola, please togezako ate okufuluma ebweru okutwala obulwadde mu nsi endala. And of course we have given your names to, if you don't cooperate, we shall give the names to other countries so that even if you pass through Panya and you go to other countries, they will lock you at the airport and you may get problems there. In addition, there is screening at the airport and land border points of entry for temperature, symptoms, and history of contact. I appeal to you to observe the above measures. I really beg you, edinkole abarokole bayamba kinene okugunjura mwekiri mu Luganda, okugunjura mwekiri okugunjura abanyankole beeyo ffe, kubanga waliwo obutamanya. Ekyokulabirako, abanyankole banywanga amata agatali mafumbe, banywanga amazzi agatali mafumbe. TB, biki, brucellosis, ebiwuka by'omu lubuto, amazzi agatali mafumbe galinamu. Kati abalokole emyaka gya 1950 bakola kaweefube okutusomesa nti ibi bya bukafiiri, and it helped us. So you can now see obukafiri. You can now see bukafiri killing people here. This is obukafiri. They are telling you that okusigangana, because like in the 1950s, when the Barokole were telling us not to, the Banyankole were fond of sharing clothes. That if you have friends, I can lend you my shirt. This Barokole said, no, this is of Kafiri. No sharing. Communal plates, eating from the same plate. They campaigned it. The Barokole. Everybody eats from your own plate. That's how TB and the diseases were eradicated from Ankole. So we are now dealing with the Bukafiri in such a very serious matter. Bukafiri means not really getting the enlightenment of informed people. Informed people. I thank you and I wish you good luck.
SMART24, driving business.